Hi everyone, today we're looking at customizing an Avada Prebuilt site. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to customize a pre-built site with your own content and to quickly turn it into your own website. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest videos like this one. And if you don't want to miss one, click the bell icon to get notifications of all new videos on our channel. Okay, let's begin. For this video series, I'm going to imagine I have an organic veggie farm called Como Farm, and I'm going to take an Avada Prebuilt site and customize it to suit my business. I have a logo ready, which you can see here, and I have downloaded some suitable images from free sources like Pexels and Pixabay. I've also written some copy for the pages, so I'm ready to go. In this video, I'm going to change some basic WordPress settings, customize the global colors and typography, and then work my way through the home page, changing the header, footer, and all the page content as needed. In the second video of the series, I will complete the remainder of the site. You can jump to a specific part of the video by using the timestamps in the video description. For my example, after browsing all the pre-built sites, I have decided to import the Country Butcher website as my starting point. It's one of the food-based ones, and the only real primary producer type of pre-built. But more importantly, I really like the clean and classy design this pre-built has. I also think the content pages match perfectly with what I have in mind, and so I will only have to customize them rather than a lot of deleting and creating new pages and fixing menus, etc. And like this site, I also want to have an online shop with a half a dozen or so products, and so the existing integration with WooCommerce will clearly help with that as well. Obviously, the closer you can come to what you want with a pre-built site will cut down on how much work it will take to customize. There's not always going to be a perfect fit, as you might like the design of one and the content of another, but it's always going to be quicker to customize a pre-built than build from scratch if you choose well. So let's get started. I'll just head to the back end, and to start off, I'm going to go to Settings General. Here I will set my website title and tagline. I'll call it Como Farm, and for the tagline it can be organic fruit and vegetables. I'll just save that. I also want to check the permalinks, so I will go to the Permalinks tab. And here I want to change the default WordPress permalink structure to post name. I'll just save that as well. There are also lots of other options sprinkled throughout the settings, so go through and check they are all set as you prefer. Okay, so now I'll just click Edit Live to open the site in Avada Live, our front-end page builder. And when that loads, I'm ready to customize the site. Now there's no absolute wrong or right place to start or way to tackle this process, but best practice is to be methodical and take it from the broad to the specific, one section at a time, like starting with the global options, setting color and typography, customizing the header, the footer, and then the individual pages, etc., and moving through the site systematically. And let's not hide from the realities of web design here. To turn an Avada Prebuilt site into your own professional website will take some effort. Just like a site built from scratch, you will require a plan for your page structure, and you will have to develop your own content. This is mainly in the form of a well-designed logo, suitable images, and well-written copy. Regardless of the effort of producing good website content, if you've chosen your pre-built site well, a lot of the design will be able to be reused, and this reduces the amount of time needed to complete a website considerably when compared to building a site from scratch. Okay, let's get started with customizing. I'm going to start by heading to the global options. I'm not going to go systematically through every tab on the options here, as my time is better spent by changing the broadest global options relevant to the design and coming back to others as I need to. What I want to consider initially are the site colors and the typography. These go a long way towards setting the tone of the site. This pre-built site uses a color palette with a nice rosy red and a soft gold on a white background to create a classy, slightly formal site, and the typography plays into that as well. My intended site wants to be a bit more casual, so changing some global options here is a great way to change the look and feel of the entire site very quickly. Check out the How to Use the Avada Global Options video linked below for more details on this section of Avada. Okay, so let's start with the Colors tab. Here we can see the color palette for this site. Color 4 is the gold, color 5 is the red, which is also the primary color, and the rest of the palette is a mixture of subtle shades, both light and dark. Your logo is always a great place to pull your site colors from, so I'm definitely going to use the logo green. I'll just replace the red with my green here, and straight away we can see our menu and social links change, as these elements are linked to the color positions from the color palette, rather than just specific colors. For the accent color, I need a contrasting color to the site green, so I'm going to change color 4 to this yellowy gold. I'll just add one more color to the palette here. I'll just add a pale green as color 3, which I will use on some backgrounds. Okay, that's going to be my color palette. So next, let's look at typography. If I go to typography, I might just start with the body typography. Here I can see it's using a font called Barlow, and as these fields all have a grey background, it tells me that this is being pulled from a global typography set. So any changes I want to make to the body typography is best done to that set, which will then flow through to here and then to the rest of the site. Let's see what the heading typography is set to. As I scroll through the headings, it's also clear from the grey backgrounds that these have also all been set from a global typography set, and then many of them have had a font size or other override. The color for all the headings is set to color 8, and I'm going to leave it on that. Okay, so now if I head to the global typography, the best way to make changes is just to edit these global sets. The typography combo I want to use on this site is Railway for headers and Open Sans for everything else. This combination is modern and stylish. Let's start at the top. For the headings here, we're using a font called Avada Libra. Instead, I'm going to set this to Railway. And straight away we can see the change on the site. I'll leave the backup font, but I do want a different variant though. I will set this to Light 200. Everything else I'm happy with. Now the rest of them I just want to change to Open Sans. I'll start with the subheadings, the lead, the body, and the small set. Even if I'm not sure where these sets are being used yet, I will just change all of them to Open Sans, and we can edit them further if and when we need to as we come across them. So now all our body text is using Open Sans. You should note that after making changes either to the page content or the options, the global save button turns blue to let you know there are changes to be saved. I'll just do that. It's good practice to save your changes regularly anyway, in case the browser crashes or your computer goes down. So now let's move on to the header for this site. It's a stylish header with a centered logo and a menu bar below. If I use the responsive icon to check other screen sizes, we can see it is similar on medium screens. But when I go down to small screens, we see a different header, with a mobile menu and the social links are removed. And although it's not part of the header, I can see there's also a different hero section on mobile, so I will also need to adjust that when I get to it. To achieve this sort of flexibility with the header, Avada Layouts has been used. If we head to the Layouts Builder page, we can see this pre-built is using several layouts, and that there is a custom header and custom footer layout section connected to the global layout. We'll look at the other layouts in the next video of this series, but for now I'll just edit the custom global header in Avada Live. Okay, let's have a quick stock take of the required changes to our header. I will obviously need to change the logo. I would also need to change or update the socials if this were a real site. But I'm happy with the general layout. We have 3 columns with a centered logo, socials on one side of that, and the Woo account details on the other side with a menu bar below this. If we scroll up, we can see the menu bar is also sticky. Okay, let's start with the elements, starting at the top left. We can see this is a nested column, and inside is a text block and a social links element. As this is just an example, I don't have any live links to paste in, but here I would select my preferred socials by pasting the link in the corresponding option here. In this case, I will just leave them as they are. On the Design tab, just for fun, I will change these to boxed and make the box color transparent, but on hover, I will set the background color to be color 5. I'm happy with the text block element, so we can close this nested column and move on. So now to the logo. The logo is an image element, and if I edit it, we can see that the logo is being pulled dynamically here. I might simplify this. I'm going to delete the dynamic link and just add the logo as a normal image. I'll click on the Add button, and at this point I might just upload all the assets I need for this project, so they are in the media library. You could of course just create them and add them as you need them, but to save time I've got them already prepared, and I will add them all at once. Be back in a sec. Okay, now I have my required assets uploaded. I will add the logo. As you can see, I have added both alt and title text to my images, and down the bottom here I'm going to make sure I'm inserting the full-size version. This one is 266 pixels. I'll just insert that, and the image comes into the header. It's bigger than I want at this stage, but if I just pop over to the Design tab, I'm going to set an image max width of 133 pixels, exactly half the size of the image I added. So now I have the right size logo, and it's retina ready as well. The other options are already set for this logo in the image element, such as skip lazy loading set to yes, as it's at the top of the page, and the image link URL set to the site URL, which is the home page. So now is a good time to just check this header on different screen sizes. I will just go to the Responsive tab and check medium-sized screens. Here it's much the same. If I quickly look at small screens, we can see the socials are not showing here, and we have a mobile menu, but in this case I think both of these changes look good. I might just make one small change here, and edit the top column, and add a 1 pixel bottom border, and give it my dark green color. Yeah, I like that. Okay, back to the large screen view. I think I'm almost finished here. If I just edit the menu though, I'm not sure I want the capitalization. So if I go to the Main tab and the Main Menu Typography section, I'll click on the text transform value to disconnect the global value and set it back to default. Yeah, I think that will work better for my site. If you do need to edit the WordPress menu itself, you can edit that directly from the menu element here in the General tab. I'm going to use the same pages for this site, so I don't need to edit the menu, but I do want to just rename one page. For that, I can just head to Pages, and I will just use Quick Edit to change our heritage to About Us. I'll also just change the slug. The menu will automatically pick up that change, so the only places I need to be careful of it is if there are any references to the page in other page content. Otherwise, I'm happy with the page structure and the menu that's displaying that. Let's come back to our header and save our work so far. If you wanted a completely different page structure for your main menu, you could just create a new menu in the menu section of WordPress, and then select it in the menu element for it to be used instead of this one. Check out our Working with Menus playlist for more info on creating and styling menus. Okay, now that's saved, we can close this layout section and head back to our front page and refresh. Alright, that looks great. Now we have the header done, let's get to the page content. I also really like this hero section here, and so for my example, all I'm going to do here is to customize it with my own text and images. Alternatively, you could delete this and add a new hero section from Avada Studio and then customize that, or of course you could just build your own. But here I will just click in here on the main title and select it, and then I'll paste in my new title. I'll leave the small title above it, but I'll change that to just say Local Premium Quality. The button is good as is, so now to the background image. I will edit this container here and go to the Background tab. Okay, as I check the tabs here, I can see this container has an overlay color, as well as a gradient and a background image. When changing out images in a pre-built, if you're unsure about the size of images to upload or insert, you can just have a look at the existing image to see what has been used. This is the hero here, and at the top here you can see its native size. When keeping a design and just swapping out images, this method will work perfectly. For adding new images in new sections, please read up on our image size docs, linked below the video. I'll just cancel out of this and remove this image, and then I'll select my new hero image. Make sure I have the full-size version chosen and insert it in here. Mine's a bit bigger because I want to apply a parallax setting to it. This looks a bit dark for my image, so I might remove the gradient here, and then edit the color overlay that's on this container to brighten it up a bit. I'll just remove the luminance shift and change the alpha channel to -80, so just a bit of darkening is applied to the image. Just to explain, this preference panel is the way to edit global colors, and you can adjust hue, saturation, luminance and transparency here. So what I've done is to apply color 8 as an overlay, but at 80% opacity. While I'm in the container, if I go to the Extras tab, I can see there is some rendering logic applied to this container, and that it renders on all device types other than mobile. This reminds me that there is a mobile hero section for this site. If we switch over to small screen view, we can see there are in fact two containers here that are not rendering on desktop view, and so have rendering logic only to display on small screens. So I'll have to change these containers as well. I'll just edit the first one and swap this image out. In this case, it's an image element. I'll edit that and remove this and replace it with my own. I'll just select it and add that. Another obvious benefit to customizing a pre-built site as opposed to building a site from scratch is that the designers have already done all the hard work for you. As long as we are adding the right size content, all the settings will work perfectly for our new content. The container under this is also a mobile-only container. Here I just need to swap out my two titles. I'll also adjust the margins here a bit. I'll just change the bottom margin to 5% on this title as I think it's too close to the button. As this is for mobile only, I might also reduce the font size here to 52 pixels. Okay, that's our hero section on all screens. So now let's go back to the large screen view. Under the hero section we have an offset USP container with 3 columns inside it. You can see under the design tab that this container is offset by -34 pixels, which brings it up over the container above. My unique selling points are a little bit different than these, but I'll work with what we have here. I'll leave the icons as selected and just quickly customize the text. The first one will say refrigerated delivery or pickup. The middle one will say free delivery on orders over $100. And I want the one on the right to say all certified organic produce. And I will edit the columns themselves and change the background color to color 3. Okay, so on we go. The next container has a simple but useful layout, so all I want to do here is swap out the image and change the text up. I'll edit the image element here, and we can just remove the image, and then choose our own image to replace it. The 600 pixel version is big enough for this spot. On the right hand column I will change out both titles and add some copy to the body text. I also need to change the link on this button to the renamed About Us page. Okay, all good. If we just check this container for responsive issues, we can see it looks much the same on medium screens, and on smaller screens the columns display beneath each other. Okay, back to large screen view. At the bottom of this container there is a grass section separator, which makes sense to me, but I would like to change the color. I'll just edit it and change it to color 3, and it looks like there's a small luminosity shift there, but I don't need that, so I'll remove that. Then of course I have to change the color of the container below. I'll change that to color 3 and remove that luminosity shift as well, so it blends with the section separator above. Okay, now to the contents of this container. As you can see here, there are 2 columns here that overlap. If you didn't like this, you could of course just delete the columns and add them again. But I'm just going to customize it and keep it as close to the original design so as not to make it more complex than it needs to be. For a start, I will add some body text in here. Okay, so now to the image. I'll just click on Edit and select my new image. I want the 600 pixel version here. And then add it in. If we quickly look at this container in responsive mode, we find that the image column is not displaying and that the online order column has different padding and spacing in that view. But here the button alignment is set to center. Okay, so that's all good. If we come back to the desktop view and edit the image column, we can see that the column visibility option is only set to desktop here, hence why this is not showing in other views. As I mentioned before, with a pre-built site you're getting a full design. If you don't like something, you can just remove it or change it. Okay, only a couple more containers and the footer to go. Now the next container, as you can tell from the pinkish color on the control bars and borders, is a global container. This means that it's likely on other pages as well, and if we change it here, we change it everywhere. But the interesting bit here is where the content is coming from. Some of it is just normal content, and other parts are being pulled dynamically. Let's start with the background image. I don't want that, so I'll just edit the container and head to the background tab to change it. I'll just remove that. I'll change produce to products here in the title, and I will also add some body text in here. And now we come to the dynamic content. This is a postcards element here, pulling 3 WooCommerce products. So obviously with an e-commerce store, you're going to want to create your own products and delete these ones. And then there's the question of whether you want to edit the design of the postcard that's being used here. In this case, I'm largely happy with how they look. I might make a few small changes, but I will create the products first. Okay, this is probably a good time to save our changes. So now let's change what is displayed here by adding some new products. I'll head to the products page and add a new product. I'll call this mixed veggies box. Add a short description in here. And on the right hand side, I'll add a new category called box. Add a few tags. Add a product image here. And under the product data tab, this is where we give it a price and other attributes. See our WooCommerce videos for more information on products and how to configure them. But for my example, these are just going to be simple products. I'll add a price of $75, and I might even make this one on special at $60, and choose the dates to be for the next few weeks. Okay, let's save this product, and I'll just go and make a few more and then come back. Okay, I have made 6 new products and deleted all the old ones. So now on the home page, when we refresh, we can see they are now being pulled dynamically into our postcards element here. If I edit the postcards element, we can see it's using the postcard called products. And if I scroll down, I can see it's configured to show 3 products with an offset of 2. For my example, I want to remove the post offset that is set here and change the order by option to popularity. This way it will then always display the 3 most popular products in my shop. As for the design of the postcard itself, I'll just scroll back up and edit it directly from the element here. So here's the actual postcard, and you could of course make as many changes as you wanted to this design, or you could delete it and start again, either from scratch or using one of the Avada Studio postcards. But for this example, I just want to change a few small things. I'll edit the Woo Price element and head to the Design tab. And under Price Typography, I'll just add 24 pixels as the font size. And under the Sale Old Price Typography, I will change the font color to color 4. I'll also just edit the image and change the image aspect ratio to 1:1, as I'd prefer these images to be square in the shop grid. I'll leave the image focus point in the center, so they are all cropped to the middle of the image. Okay, let's just save that postcard now. For more info on postcards, see our documentation linked below. Okay, let's head back to our page. If I just refresh that again, I can see the price is now bigger and the image is now square. That's looking good. Okay, let's move on to the footer, the last part of the page. If I mouse over our next container, which is a call to action, we can see there are no usual container controls. Instead, we get an Edit Footer Layout section icon, which tells us that this container is part of the footer layout used on this page. Let's edit that. I'll just Control-click to open it in a new tab. Okay, this footer layout section has 2 containers. The top one has a background image and a column with some text and an Avada form element, and the bottom one is the usual footer content. For the top one, I'll edit the container and head to the background tab, and then the image tab, and I'll remove this image and add my own in. I'll just change the background to center for this image. I'll also just add a bit of a gradient over it as well. So on the gradient tab, I'll add color 7 as the start color. And that's about it. The defaults work great here. I'll also just add some text in here below the title. Below this is an Avada form element pulling a form called newsletter. This is going to work for me, so all I will need to do at some point is to edit that form so it goes to the right place. I can do that later. Now just the last section of the footer. This logo is again being pulled dynamically, so I'll just delete that and add my logo in here again. And on the Design tab, I'll also just set the max width to 133 pixels. Okay, let's look at the rest of this footer. There is also this image under the logo that has the badges, and I don't really need that. So I'll actually just delete that. Okay, it looks like I now need some spacing. So I will edit the image above and add 30 pixels bottom margin to this element. On the right, there are 2 menus and a credit card logo in a nested columns element here, and I'm happy with how they are styled in the menu element. Also, note how the menu has detected our page name change with the About Us page. If I wanted to change the actual menus, I would do that in the menu section of WordPress. And at the bottom of the nested columns element, there's another column with the copyright info in it. If I edit that, we can see it's actually a text block element with dynamic content. If I edit the date, we can see there is some text before and after the actual year, which is a clever way of keeping the copyright year up to date. I can of course edit the before or the after text to update this. I'll just change the before year to a bit more recently and add some code into the after value that has some HTML links in it. And finally, to line these two sections up, I'll just edit the bottom column and remove the padding. Okay, that looks great. Let's just save our custom footer. Now let's head back to our original site here and refresh the page. Whoa, there you go. No longer a country butcher. That looks really good. As I scroll down, we can see the various sections. Not a cheeseburger in sight. And that looks so great. And how easy was that? I haven't customized the whole website yet, but the homepage is done. And you can see how it is you customize the content of a pre-built site to create your own site with Avada. In part 2 of this video, I will show you how to complete this site, how to complete the other pages, finish editing the other postcards, how to check the layout sections and where they are being used, like places you might not think of, such as the 404 page, how to clean up the back end, and remove unused assets, etc. All that tidying up and finishing the site so that it's functional and ready to be promoted. Okay, thanks for staying with me. This concludes part 1 of our video series on customizing an Avada Prebuilt website. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest videos. And if you have any questions or need assistance, please create a support ticket and our team will gladly assist you. As always, we want to thank you for choosing Avada.